What if you could sit down for coffee with the greatest thinkers in history? Today, we're bringing 7 philosophers to the table, where their conversations will challenge the way you see the world. Plato engages with Sartre, while Nietzsche debates Confucius. Their ideas, formed hundreds or even thousands of years ago, still echo in our daily lives. These philosophers tackled fundamental questions about existence, morality, and society. Get ready for a journey through time and thought. Existentialism. When freedom becomes a burden. Imagine yourself in a smoky Parisian cafe in the 1940s, surrounded by passionate discussions. Across the room, Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir are deep in debate. They're talking about freedom, but not in the way you might expect. For them, freedom is not a joyful gift. It's a heavy burden that each of us must carry. Sartre even goes so far as to say, "Man is condemned to be free." Sounds strange, right? The idea is that we are entirely responsible for our choices. No excuses. No predetermined destiny. Every decision you make shapes who you are. It's liberating, but also a little terrifying when you really think about it. Existentialism, at its core, tells us, hey, your life doesn't come with a built-in meaning. It's up to you to create one. It's like being handed a blank canvas and told, go ahead, paint the masterpiece of your life. No pressure, right? This philosophy is rooted in the idea that existence comes before essence. We exist first and only later define who we are through our actions. As Sartre put it, man appears in the world and defines himself afterward. Existentialism has left its mark everywhere. In literature, books like Sartre's Nausea or Camus' The Stranger explore these themes. In art, Munch's The Scream captures the weight of existential angst. But existentialism isn't just about despair. It also pushes us to be authentic, to live in alignment with our true selves rather than blindly following society's expectations. It's a call to action, a challenge to take control of our own lives. Stoicism, your ancient mental coach. Suddenly, you find yourself in ancient Rome, surrounded by marble columns and flowing white togas. A towering figure approaches. It's none other than Emperor Marcus Aurelius. But instead of talking about conquests or politics, he shares a far more valuable secret. Stoicism. Imagine having a mental superpower that allows you to stay calm no matter what life throws at you. That's exactly what Stoicism is. This philosophy, born over 2,000 years ago, acts like an invisible shield against the stress and anxiety of modern life. Marcus Aurelius leans in and tells you, it's not what happens to us that matters, but how we react to it. In short, you can't always change the world around you, but you can change how you perceive it. It's like life is a massive video game, and Stoicism hands you the cheat codes to stay calm under pressure. Stoicism is the art of turning obstacles into opportunities. Got a problem at work? Instead of panicking, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Your crush ghosted you? Rather than spiraling, see it as a chance to build your self-confidence. Another famous Stoic, Epictetus, put it this way, it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. In other words, your perception shapes your reality. If you decide a situation is terrible, it will be. But if you choose to see it as an opportunity for growth, that's exactly what it becomes. Stoicism also teaches us to focus on what we can control, not what we can't. You can't stop the rain from falling, but you can choose to bring an umbrella. It's a simple shift in mindset, but it changes everything. Nihilism. When everything loses meaning. Think you had it all figured out with Stoicism? Wait until you meet nihilism. Imagine a world where even your umbrella no longer has meaning. Scary, right? Suddenly, you find yourself in 19th century Russia. The atmosphere is heavy, as if the whole country is going through an existential crisis. A man with an intense gaze locks eyes with you. It's Friedrich Nietzsche, and he's just dropped a philosophical bomb. God is dead. But what does he mean by that? Nihilism is like being told that life is a video game, with no goal and no ending. This philosophy challenges the very foundations of human existence: knowledge, morality, and meaning. Essentially, it argues that our values have no solid basis and that life has no ultimate purpose. Nietzsche describes nihilism as a huge gap between what we want, meaning purpose, and what the universe actually gives us, nothing at all. It's unsettling, but also strangely freeing. If nothing has inherent meaning, then you are free to create your own. Nihilism is like a spring cleaning for your beliefs. It forces you to ask, if I could start from scratch, what would I keep? It's a philosophy that shakes you up, but can also help you see the world in a new way. In literature, nihilism appears in works like Shakespeare's Macbeth, where the title character reflects on life's futility, calling it a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. In cinema, films like American Psycho explore nihilistic themes through characters who struggle with the absurdity of their actions and existence. Marxism, the revolution of ideas. Think nihilism was provocative? Wait until philosophy meets economics. Welcome to the world of Marxism, where every worker is a potential revolutionary. Picture yourself in 19th century London, where factory smoke fills the air and social tensions run high. This is where Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels developed their groundbreaking ideas. At the heart of this philosophy is the struggle between social classes. As Marx put it, the history of all societies up to now has been the history of class struggles. Society, in his view, is a never-ending battle between two teams: the bourgeoisie, owners, and the proletariat, workers. Marx argued that workers were exploited, paid far less than the true value of what they produced, a concept he called surplus value. Imagine baking cakes all day, but only being allowed to eat the crumbs. This ties into another key idea: alienation. In a capitalist system, workers often feel disconnected from their labor, like building a house you'll never get to live in. Marxism has shaped history, inspiring revolutions like the Russian Revolution of 1917, which led to the creation of the Soviet Union. Even today, Marxist ideas influence left-wing politics and critiques of capitalism. Of course, Marxism has its critics. Some argue that capitalism hasn't collapsed as Marx predicted, while others point to authoritarian regimes that claim to follow his ideas. Postmodernism, when reality becomes blurry. A philosophy that takes all our certainties and throws them out the window. Welcome to the 1960s, a time of rapid change where old truths no longer seem to hold up. Imagine sitting down with Jean-François Lyotard, a French philosopher who tells you that the grand narratives, those big stories that once explained everything, are collapsing. No more simple universal explanations. Lyotard even defines postmodernism as incredulity toward meta-narratives, meaning we no longer believe in overarching stories that claim to explain the world. Postmodernism is like being told that life is a movie, but each person is their own director. There isn't just one truth. There are many, each shaped by individual perspectives. This way of thinking challenges simple explanations and encourages us to see the world from multiple angles. But postmodernism doesn't stop at questioning ideas. It shakes up art, literature, and architecture too. Take Andy Warhol, for example. His work blurs the line between commercial and serious art, a classic postmodern move. It's all about mixing styles, playing with traditions, and breaking the rules. Like telling a story but scrambling all the pages. Look at films like Pulp Fiction or TV shows like The Simpsons. They mess with conventions, break the fourth wall, and mix genres. That's postmodernism in action, challenging reality, making us question what we take for granted, and reminding us that truth is never as simple as it seems. Empiricism, when experience becomes king. Think postmodernism turned everything upside down? Empiricism goes even further. It asks, how do you really know what you know? Picture yourself into 17th century England. A man hands you an apple. It's John Locke, the father of empiricism. He looks you straight in the eye and says, all knowledge comes from experience. Boom. That's the core of empiricism. Locke explains that our mind is a blank slate at birth. No innate ideas, no built-in knowledge. Everything we know comes from our senses and experiences. It's like your brain is an empty notebook, gradually filled by what you see, hear, touch, and learn throughout life. Empiricism is like being a detective. You can't just rely on hearsay or assumptions. You need solid proof, observable facts. This way of thinking revolutionized science, pushing us to verify instead of blindly believing. But empiricism goes even further. It constantly asks, how do I know what I know? It's the art of a smart skepticism, teaching us to question everything and think independently instead of accepting ideas at face value. Then comes David Hume, another great empiricist who takes it to the extreme. He argues that we can't even be certain the future will resemble the past. How do you know the sun will rise tomorrow? Just because it always has? That's not an absolute guarantee, Hume would say. Empiricism has shaped the modern scientific method. Today, when a scientist makes a claim, the first question is, where's your evidence? That's empiricism's legacy. It drives us to be curious, observe, and experiment. Rationalism, the power of reason. Think reason and experience always go hand in hand? Rationalism might make you rethink that. How can you be sure 2 + 2 = 4 without counting on your fingers? That's the kind of question that rationalist philosophers obsessed over. Welcome to 17th century France, where a thoughtful man greets you, René Descartes. He utters his famous phrase, I think, therefore I am. That's rationalism in a nutshell. This philosophy sees reason as the primary source of knowledge. It's as if your brain is a supercomputer, capable of understanding the world without relying on your senses. Descartes argues that only reason leads to truth, while our senses can deceive us. He believes some truths, like those in mathematics, are grasped through pure thought. You don't need experiments to know that the angles of a triangle always add up to 180 degrees. Other thinkers like Baruch Spinoza and Gottfried Leibniz took these ideas even further. They believed the entire universe could be understood through logical reasoning alone, as if life were a giant puzzle solvable by pure thought. Rationalism encourages us to seek logical explanations for everything. It pushes us to ask, why are things the way they are? What's the reasoning behind them? It's the art of thinking clearly, structuring ideas, and looking for deeper truths. But not everyone agrees. Critics, like William James, argue that rationalism disconnects us from reality. They remind us that emotions and experiences also shape our understanding of the world. Today, we no longer choose between pure reason and experience. Modern thinkers believe we need both to truly grasp reality, just like we need both the head and the heart to navigate life. Every person you meet, every interaction you have, is influenced in some way by the great philosophical ideas we've explored. These philosophies aren't just dusty concepts locked away in old books. They're alive, shaping our modern world. They influence political debates, personal choices, and even how we perceive life itself. So next time you face a dilemma, ask yourself, which philosophical approach am I using here? You might be surprised to realize just how relevant these ancient ideas still are today.